Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Reyes and my presentation is on undocumented families and immigration policy. Specifically, I'll be talking about the conflict they face in pursuit of the American dream. So, what is the problem and why is it critical? The United States is a country made up of diverse individuals. It's a place where many come to pursue the American dream and to provide a better life for their families. Many migrate from other countries to fulfill their American dream, and for others they come just seeking asylum. The United States does have a larger immigration population than any other country in the world, with 47 million immigrants as of 2019. However, in recent years, it has become increasingly more difficult for immigrants to come to this country and even harder to obtain citizenship status. Under the Trump administration, they created a policy called the Zero Tolerance Policy, and the Department of Justice began to actually criminally prosecute all suspected illegal border crossers for illegal entry, even for those that have actually crossed for the very first time. Because of this policy, families are being deported and others separated into detention centers when their parents or adults, relatives are being charged with an unlawful entry. This zero tolerance policy that the Trump administration put in place has also made it practically impossible for immigrant families to migrate to the U.S. to create a better living for themselves and for their families. Conflict is being created by this policy and is directly affecting innocent lives, and is become just completely unjust. This problem here is that all immigrants are now being targeted as criminals and are being given the chance to be a part of a country that represents opportunity and freedom. To add, immigrant families that had the opportunity to successfully migrate to this country prior to this policy are actually continuing to have difficulties obtaining citizenship status and have also felt the hardship of living the American dream. These people, much like any other minorities, are struggling to provide for their families and have had difficulty acquiring basic needs. Includes like medical and even decent housing. So now more than ever, undocumented families are facing extreme hardship and conflict because of this policy. It has become truly saddening to see these families are being treated just so inhumane, which is why this problem is so critical. Much like we saw in the documentary 2 Years of Gaza and how we read in the text water as a human right, the Palestinian people also experience some conflict in relation to this. The Palestinian population also struggled to make ends meet because of the war and the conflict created by policy. And these people are also being treated so inhumane and unjust. Many of these families aren't criminals. These children aren't criminals. But because of this law, the American dream has been taken away from them, or has been difficult to obtain. With this example, we see how the policy has created conflict, and how it has directly affected individuals on a micro level. On the other end, we also see how the policy has created conflict on a larger scale, with funding being allocated to building a wall, and to funding these horrible detention centers as these innocent families are being held in. So the real question is why should we care, right? Thinking about the hardship and the conflict that undocumented families are facing is undeniably heartbreaking. This topic hits so close to home for me because much like these families that are striving to achieve the American dream. My family also did the same in order to get me where I am today. This has created an issue in American society where views on immigration and immigration policy are at a divide. Again, these innocent lives are being treated as criminals. They're being separated from their families. They're being forced to live in unsanitary conditions without basic needs. And they're being treated inhumane and unjust. And as an American citizen, this goes against for what I stand for. And this should be everyone's problem. I recently watched a documentary on Netflix called Living Undocumented. And it actually gave me more insight on how unfair our justice system has become, and the immigration system as well. This docuseries shows how innocent families, parents, and children are all being torn apart because of this immigration policy. In the eyes of the Trump administration, the goal is to make Americans feel safer. But in actuality, in my opinion, as a U.S.-born citizen, I've become more terrified because of the fear of having my undocumented family and friends prosecuted and deported. The Trump administration doesn't see human beings. They see a threat. They see lawbreakers. They see criminals. And I feel like this has become a huge problem. Many of these families are innocent people just seeking a better life. And under this policy, many assume that they come to the U.S. to take advantage of American resources and just to commit crimes. Going back to some texts and things that we went over in the class, Hadwick says in his text, prejudiced individuals typically lump people together that share certain characteristics and categorize them as all being the same. This is true in the sense where the Trump administration and these immigrant policies are categorizing these people as all being illegals that are crossing the border unlawfully, and that makes them criminals, which isn't the case. But what's most concerning is that these people, these adults and these children, are being held in facilities that are just unfit for healthy living conditions. And again, it's just so inhumane. And some people are being held for weeks, even months, and are even given the proper means to maintain a decent diet, healthy sleep, or even basic hygiene for that matter. So like you ask yourself, like, how has this issue persisted? Why is not more being done to stop this injustice? Why are these people not even given the basic rights to be treated like human beings? And what's just so disheartening is that all of this is happening on the soil that we call home. In this course, I've learned that differences are the root cause of much conflict. And thus I thought of like this saying, this little phrase here, that in order to ignite change, we must be able to empathize and understand others and their experiences first. I feel that coming from an Hispanic immigrant family, I was able to appreciate and relate to these immigrant families and what they go through in order to achieve their American dream. Similar to the stories of these immigrant families and Living Undocumented, the documentary, my parents' journey to America also included much hardship. Coming from Mexico, their journey to the U.S. involved illegally crossing the border, and after years of working low-income laborious jobs, they were eventually given the opportunity to apply for citizenship, but their lives as undocumented immigrants were beyond difficult, as they also lived in constant fear of being deported. They couldn't afford anything beyond the basic necessities. They worked minimum wage jobs, and even though they endured several obstacles, their struggle and their hard work eventually developed into a opportunity that paid off. In part, that my family story is a major reason, reason why I am who I am, and has deeply influenced my position on immigration policy. In our society, Hispanics have been the subject of many social stigmas, negative statistics, and as a young Hispanic woman, I've always felt as though I had to refute and defy the odds to prove others wrong. Although I have achieved what I set out to do, I've always felt pressured by social stigmas and being most likely not to succeed because I come from an immigrant Hispanic family. As mentioned in the article, age discrimination, social closure, and employment. Biases and preconceptions among the general population do exist, and that influences unabashed views of different people. Although these social stigmas, negative views, and thoughts from others constantly linger, strong work ethic was always instilled in me as a child and growing up. I was taught the importance of hard work and that the road to success isn't always easy, but to strive for my dreams. And that's another major reason why I'm able to resonate with these immigrant families that are doing whatever it takes to achieve their goals. So how is this helpful on a larger context? Well, America was built on the foundation of immigration and diversity. Yet there are mixed attitudes on the subject. As stated by Bershaw, there are two prescriptions for accommodation of immigrants in American society put forth over the last century that reflects immigration's dilemma and still categorize the two sides in debate about the accommodation of immigrants. In the current state of government, immigration policy has targeted immigrants as being invaders and criminals. This has created an issue in American society where views on immigrants and immigration policy are at a divide. However, those that understand and support of immigration typically resonate in the same way. From my perspective, migrant workers take on the laborious jobs that many U.S.-born citizens would categorize as low, bottom-of-the-barrel work. I find that these jobs are highly important. And, sorry, I had to drink some water. And hold up the foundation of American society. The field jobs that provide our produce, the housekeeping jobs that keep our facilities clean. These are the positions that I believe are essential in the growth as a nation, even though they are categorized as low-level work and many times are seen as jobs that nobody wants to take. On the other hand, there's also another view in American society that says that immigrants come to our country to take advantage of U.S. resources. As mentioned in the text by Gregory Strange, immigrants will, among other things, take American jobs, drain taxpayer programs and money, refuse to assimilate and learn English, and may even be part of a plan to infiltrate or reconquer the land acquired by the U.S. in the Mexican-American War. I just think it's, again, another stigma, a negative view that is just not true. But regardless of what people think, and as cliche it may sound, America is truly a salad bowl made up of many unique people from all over the world. I feel like that research will provide concrete evidence and facts on this issue that aren't debatable, and it will prove that there is social injustice around these immigrant policies and show the world that the true struggles that immigrants' families are experiencing. It also shed light on the issue and will also bring more people to support the issue. Educating others will not only show others what's really happening, but also help create more funding and help families that are in need. So this is my presentation, and I appreciate you listening and hearing what I have to say. Thank you.